In Islam, there are certain types of clothing that invalidate the prayer. It is important to ensure that one is dressed appropriately when performing prayers to maintain the validity of the prayer. In today's video from the Brave Muslim channel, we will discuss this important topic of clothing that invalidate our prayers. Please watch this video until the end, so you do not make these mistakes next time you pray. Number 1. Clothing that is impure or najis. Islamic teachings emphasize the importance of cleanliness and purity, especially when it comes to prayer. Clothing that is impure or najis, meaning unclean or contaminated, is not considered suitable for prayer. This includes clothing that has come into contact with substances such as urine, feces, or alcohol. It is necessary for Muslims to ensure that their clothing is clean and free from impurities before performing prayers. This involves being mindful of where one's clothing is placed and avoiding contact with unclean substances. In the case of accidental contact with najasa, one must immediately wash the affected area and change into clean clothing before engaging in prayer. Number 2. Clothing that exposes the houra. In Islam, modesty is highly valued and is reflected in the way Muslims dress. The houra, which refers to the parts of the body that must be covered, is an essential aspect of modesty that Muslims observe. For men, the houra is from the navel to the knee, while for women it is the entire body, except for the face and hands. It is important for Muslims to ensure that their clothing properly covers their aura when performing prayers. If one's clothing does not meet the standards of covering the aura, it can invalidate the prayer. This is because prayer is a sacred act of worship and must be conducted with complete reverence and respect for Allah. Number 3. Tight or transparent clothing. Wearing tight or transparent clothing during prayer is considered inappropriate in Islamic culture. This is because it draws attention to the body and can distract oneself or others from the prayer itself. When one is praying, they should be focused on their connection with Allah and not on their physical appearance. It is important to wear loose and modest clothing during prayer to maintain the sanctity of the act. Loose clothing allows for freedom of movement and comfort during prayer, while modest clothing shows respect for the act of worship and the people around us. Number 4. Clothing with images or symbols that are not permissible in Islam. Wearing clothing with images or symbols that go against Islamic teachings can nullify the prayer. Islamic teachings prohibit the worship of idols or any other symbols that represent other deities. Therefore, wearing clothes with images of idols or any other symbols that are not permissible in Islam is considered a grave sin. Additionally, wearing clothes with inappropriate words or images can also invalidate the prayer as it goes against the principles of modesty and decency prescribed in Islam. Muslims are required to dress modestly and avoid clothes that draw unnecessary attention to themselves. It is important to dress modestly and appropriately when performing prayers to show respect and humility before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By ensuring that one's clothing meets the requirements of Islamic dress code, one can maintain the validity of their prayers. May Allah accept our prayers and forgive us for any mistakes. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.